This is the ML's podcast, episode 18. Right, we're back because I feel like I need to say it because we've said it for about 16 episodes. We have the lovely and handsome
Martin Dougan.
Oh my god! Sorry, hold on. Can you hear that?
Oh, you can't.
I've
That
tried to
silence?
get the. I've tried to keep. Can you hear that there? Aye.
What?
I've got see my wireless headphones. I was trying to keep my eye on the Rangers Leon score there, and it just came live in my ear, and he's screaming, "Welcome, guys!" It's mad English guy. I'm so sorry.
That's all right. That's fine. Don't worry. I'm a Rangers fan anyway.
I'll keep you up to date, Martin. I will keep you.
I'm
I've
just
muted
looking
him
for the
because he was
handsome guy.
exceptionally loud. I thought somebody had ran into my house there. I was like, "What's
I
going
like
on?"
that English guy.
I thought you'd forgotten his name.
No, Martin Dougan. I'm very well aware of this because we've had a talk about it, whether it was two O's or a H and a Z and all that. But I apologise, I get such a fright there, man. Jeez, oh. But we've got Martin Dougan on the podcast regardless, right? So he does everything. He presenter, commentator, basketball captain of Scotland.
Yeah.
Scotland, eh? Not just Glasgow, the whole of the country.
The whole of Scotland. I was captain.
And Gav's here as well. If you're listening, this is Gav. Gav, say hello to everybody as well.
Hello, everybody. Get my haircut finally.
No, I don't want to talk about your haircut. I'm not interested.
Because you've not got a haircut. You don't want to get pounded, that's what it is.
No. What about you, Martin? You get your haircut and all?
I am going tomorrow to get mine redone.
Who cut yours through it? Who dyed it and all? That's dyed hair.
No, that's grey. It's grey hair, mate. This is legit.
Is it grey?
Aye.
I thought you dyed it. That light makes it look pure blonde, didn't it, Gav?
Aye, cheers. I appreciate that, but no, it's grey, man. I look like Benjamin Button.
I thought you went for the Richie Foster look there with all the nice blonde locks.
Nah, mate, I'm just going for the old Martin look.
See that beard? Because of the beard and all, you think that's dyed?
Aye,
you get away with that?
It's really matched, is it? That's the problem. A wee bit like, aye, the hair, the beard's not caught up yet. Thank God.
The beard's not caught up yet. No.
It's not the beard you need to worry about, mate. It's not the beard.
But,
I'd rather go grey. And go bald, man.
Aye, grey hair than no hair.
Aye, definitely. Yeah. That's a good way to put it, mate. Definitely.
And that's a saying.
Grey hair than no hair.
So me and Gav have had we've not had a debate. Gav had one day, I had another. So when's your birthday? Is it the 31st of May or the 1st of September? Or is it neither?
31st of May.
Yes, the BBC's right.
BBC know their stuff, didn't they?
BBC, IMDb, IMDb. You go on the phone to them. Get on the phone to IMDb.
Where
the 1st of September.
Where do people I don't know, obviously who you know enters the stuff into Wikipedia, but where did some of the people get these dates? Did they just pick a random date, do you think?
I've got absolutely no idea, mate. Like, somebody actually alerted me to it, and people go, "Oh my God, Martin, you're famous. You've got like a Wikipedia. Oh my God, someone wrote about you." You're like,
are they for uni?
Are they for Glasgow Uni? Last year it did it. I was like, "Oh, cool." So obviously the interest peaked. I was like, "Oh, I wonder what somebody's wrote." Like, because we always say, as a journalist, rule number one is never use Wikipedia as a source, right?
Nah,
it's rule number one. Don't ever use it because a lot of it's true, a lot of it's crap. But mine was all crap. I found it unbelievable the fact that somebody had written like the shortest paragraph. I've not read it for a while, but somebody had written the shortest paragraph and managed to get 90% of it wrong. That's a skill. Like that is an absolute.
They got 10% of it right, which is pretty cool.
Aye,
you admire that 10%.
I think people just write these things so they can mess it up for somebody like us.
But why? The thing is, why do you want to write about somebody else anyway? I know it's my job. I know, but I write.
No, but you report it. You're getting reliable sources. This is some guy going or lady going. Right, Martin Dougan, right? What can I write here?
He seems like he was born in September.
Loves fairies. And he wasn't born in Glasgow. No, it's a lie. It's a conspiracy. But things like that, I just think people get a bit wild.
But the thing is, I know what worried me most about it is somebody's taking the time not to do their research. So it's like, it's that thing, if you're going to do it right. But what scares me the most is it could be somebody that you know and that you walk amongst.
It doesn't tell you who edited it. No,
it doesn't tell you that. No. You don't get. Nobody tells you who creates it. I think you can find out who edits things, but you don't get the initial source because obviously every celebrity would look at who wrote about them because it's weird, isn't it?
Sneaky, yeah.
But it's the cheek of Wikipedia now to ask you for money.
I know.
They're asking you to donate money.
For donations, aye.
For people who create and people who edit
Julian
it.
Assange to get out, I don't know.
No, it's just pure. That's WikiLeaks.
That's what I said.
Oh, sorry. Right, I was just.
Just because that's what they'll probably be donating their money about, because it's obviously freedom of information, so they just want to spread information about. So
very
get
true.
them on it.
Well, the reason we had this wee sort of debate about your date of birth, because I was dying to get this in here, right? But has your star sign changed?
Gemini. I don't know what about star signs, but no, it's still the same. Last time I checked.
Still the same?
It's still the same, man. I'm a Gemini.
Last time you checked?
I think I put that on my Tinder profile, actually. I just put, I'm a Gemini, and that was it.
Boom. Panels of birds. That's
it looks. I look like Stephen Hawking, and I'm a Gemini. We did alright, actually. What about you?
No, I think the Stephen Hawking thing was really going for you then,
no, seriously, like, I'm being serious. Stephen Hawking holds a lot of water when it comes to, like, the old dating scene. I'll tell you that now.
So,
anyway, that's a
you
story.
have no interest in star signs, no interest in it, no bothered.
No, really, no. I don't think that when I read the Metro newspaper in the morning and then I see somebody reading a star sign, I think to myself, nothing in the Metro is ever going to shape your day. Ever.
No, it shouldn't.
That's very, very true.
I never ever looked at Mystic Meg and thought to myself, that's somebody I can trust.
She's really got a life figure, and she's really telling me how to go about my day.
Exactly.
I actually don't understand what they're meant to do. I don't understand how they came about, and two, how you can possibly tell that
somebody else,
a tenth of the population or however many there is, is going to be the exact same for that month or that week.
But that's how it's so vague, isn't it? See, when you read it, you go, you may feel yourself feeling tired today. Well, it's 7 a.m. You know what I mean? Of course, I'm on a tram in Manchester and I'm really, really tired, actually. I'm really glad you said that. And then it's like, when it comes to money matters, everybody's got money matters every day. Like, everything's a money matter.
Exactly.
Right? It's so vague that you just try your best to relate it to your world, that you go like that.
And then you read the next one, and then they all they rearrange it.
I know.
We're getting really drawn into this. We all need to calm down.
Right.
Remember, a company called NASA have said, we found another one, and we sent people to the moon. Remember that? We are telling you that somebody else's star signs changed, and Mystic Meg, who works with us real closely,
Mystic Meg
has now got to report on another one. So we're relevant again. Remember this, we're NASA, no SpaceX. So hello.
No, NASA, because you know it's legit then.
So true.
Yeah, it's so true, because now the flag was flying, the American flag, when NASA landed Neil Armstrong on the moon, and the flag was flying, even though there was no gravity. How did they do that?
I know.
Anyway, that's a conspiracy.
I know, I was going to say that's big conspiracies we're getting into.
I didn't expect it to kick off like this at all.
I didn't really see this coming, you know. I never thought star signs were never going to come into it. I'm really glad that Mercury's met up with Saturn and we're here talking today.
And they're best pals, and they've got a single coming out soon, so that's nice to know. But we're going to go back to you rather than planets and constellations.
I can't wait to go on.
So you grew up in Partick?
I did, Partick.
Right, well, that's good. We're off to an absolute blinder, Gav.
Wikipedia was right with that part.
Was it? I wonder where
we changed it.
Did you edit that?
So growing up in Partick. Right, school days. What's the script? How was that for you?
Primary school. So starting off at primary school was pretty rough. Went to Kelvindale Primary School, and I used to have a taxi. So I used to be able to walk up until I was 13, and I used to get a taxi. But I used to walk like a velociraptor. You know what I mean? Like a velociraptor. Kind of like, I looked like a dinosaur, basically, is what I looked like when I walked. Right. And I had these wee like Forrest Gump had the thing in his legs.
The braces.
I like the braces, man, and I had my disability boots. Now there's big like industrial things. Used to get the toggles and you do that with the laces and the toggles, like proper industrial looking things. And then my mum decided that I had to wear shorts to magnify the calipers. and then everybody else used to wear like a jumper. You know what I mean? When we were younger, you'd wear like a jumper or a polo shirt. Right?
School jumper.
Right, school jumper, aye. And I had like a wee logo on it. No Martin, but no Martin had to wear a shirt and a tie and a blazer every day to school, right? And then when I was born, I was born with a gammy eye like that, right? So then, my mum had glasses, right, and I had a wee side pattern. So if you can imagine what primary school started like, I had a wee like walking frame with my calipers on, with my shorts, with my disability boots, with my tie, my shirt, my blazer, my glasses, and my wee side pattern. How do you think school went?
Things probably
better than mine.
My name was
I know. You're not wearing glasses now. You should see Gavin. Watch this podcast go on and watch Gavin's eyes.
Watch
right,
my
okay?
eyes, I call Gav eyes.
You've got lovely, beautiful blue eyes, though, eh? Look at
I inherited them from wee Jeannie, my mum. Wee Jeannie, but aye, school was good at. School was alright. Primary school was a bit rough. Kids are savage.
Savage,
kids are savage, man.
There's no hold barred, man.
Got bullied at primary school, probably, but not bad. You know what I mean? Just normal. Like, I had a wee pal called Jason, and this is another legit story, right? Jason's part of the family now because he ended up with my cousin. Funny that I was trying to get rid of him for years, but he's in the family.
Clung on. Seen you go places.
It was me and Jason. So now when you were in primary school, you used to get the groups now, like, depending on your intelligence and how you would respond to things. So the red group being the best, the yellow group being really mediocre, right? So there was like the red group with the good ones, was yellow group, and then there was Martin and Jason below that.
Oh wow, you were the...
we were
just leave them to it and see how they go on.
we were so we get put in a wee corner with the wee stupid link-up jotters used to get. Now when they used to ask you to line and you get a mark for it and stuff like that. Like, so me and Jason were considered like the dafties in the school, which was fine, it was alright. So primary school was a bit rough. Growing up in Partick was good. Like, that was it? I had it was actually, I had my wee squad.
Did it teach you a wee bit? Did it teach you a bit of sense of humour or a bit? Or was it just
definitely, like,
things?
Well, with the disability thing, it never just focusing on that. I had loads of mates, like, we all grew up, because Partick back in the day was a lot rougher than what it is now. Like, it's kind of like the West End, so it's all posh. Even when I go now, I don't recognise anybody, like, I don't know anybody for it. It's not like it used to be. But we used to obviously live in the same area. Me and the boys, I've got wee pals and that, and they would never leave me out, you know what I mean? I'd always be playing football, you know what I mean, like running about, going mad with him and having a laugh. And you boys know that anyway. You can't grow up in schemes and areas without developing a dark sense of humour, either about yourself or whatever situation. There was no limitations. So school life was like just the same as everybody else's school life. And then I'm lucky enough to say that growing up in Partick, massive family, huge family. Everybody's my cousin in Partick. Everybody's like that. Is that your cousin? My pals always say, is that your cousin? Aye, that's my cousin. So,
best of cousins.
I growing up had a big support network, good laugh, funny, taught me a lot of the sort of the same tools that I use today when it comes to telling stories or writing stories. I think that I've learned very early on is you could go and sit in a pub in Glasgow and meet a random guy that will tell you the best story you've ever heard.
Oh,
100%. And and I only noticed that when I went to Manchester, actually, when I started living in London and living abroad and living down south, is that you don't get anywhere else. You don't get storytellers like us, I don't think. I think we're when it comes to dark humour in particular, or telling a story that's got quite a comic edge to it, I think the Glaswegians are probably up there.
It's weird.
Even
when you see when you're that halfway, 3/4 on to being absolutely blackout drunk. It's this mad guy at the bar and you bump into him, and how good pals are you with that person? Like, honestly,
the best, man. You're almost like
everything about their life.
It's almost like you've known them the whole of your life. Like, you know, they get you, you understand me. You know what I mean?
I remember this year because obviously, like, you got to Bottle Jill and that, blah, blah, and last time I was in there, me and the missus were only meant to go there, and we met her pals, and I was at the bar, and this guy, just don't know why, I just started talking to him. And I had this, like, replica, real fake, proper fake, gold Rolex watch on. Could they be any faker? I'm talking to this boy at the bar, and the boy at the bar's like, wow, man, that's a belter of a watch. I'm like, oh, thanks. And I'll tell you the truth, it's proper fake, mate. Like, this is I am not wealthy in the slightest, in case you think about mugging me, because that'll be the most expensive thing you can get. And oh mate, I've done this, I collect watches, blah blah. But who are you? What do you do? And spoke for half an hour, mate. You seem like a nice guy. Can you just take the watch and let me go home with my night, because I couldn't get away from him.
Give him your watch.
Take the watch. I gave him the watch, but he gave me 40 quid for it. So
right.
I made.
How does that even work, man?
He gave me 40 quid and he bought me 2 shots and a drink.
Fuck off.
I gave him the watch. He gave me 40 quid and 2 shots and a drink. So I made about a fiver out of it, which was nice. That's Glasgow, man. That is Glasgow. You'll meet the nicest people on the planet.
Martin, see when you're saying, talking about like you would never get storytellers, I find that as well, even just with general banter. Let's see, my work, sometimes, maybe a couple of times a year for like training or whatever, I'll maybe go down south and see, just try to strike a decent conversation. You can get conversation out of people, but you can't get the same banter. You say something and they don't understand what you're saying. So you're now living in Manchester, obviously, aren't you? So do you find it quite difficult to try and...
No, do you know what I found? So I've been lucky enough to say that I've lived in different places. Like I've lived in Australia and all that as well. But I think London was the most difficult place I found to live when it came to being a Scot. But no doubt, they used to call me a sweaty sock. What a joke.
I hate that, man.
That's
disgusting.
You do hate it, but they do it for everybody. You know what I mean? So they're consistent in their terms. They don't do it just for Scottish people. But do you know what? It's one place where I've lived where I constantly go it in the neck for being Scottish. Like everywhere else I've been, whether I've lived abroad, Manchester, wherever, they love the Scots there. They love the Glaswegians. They're both industrial cities, so they're quite similar. We've got the football teams and all that, so they've got City, Man United, we've got Celtic, we've got the industrial side. They're quite, you know what I mean, they're well into their music and all that, so there's things that are very, very similar, and they've got a respect for us anyway, in terms of they don't have any issues with the Scots. But you find when you go to Manchester, Liverpool, Newcastle, places that are further up north, like then they don't see the divide. Whereas as soon as you hit like the Midlands area in London, you can feel that there's.
I feel like it's just London. Like
no, mate, I lived in Coventry.
Okay. My daughter's different country, aren't they?
My daughter's from Coventry. My daughter lives in Coventry, and I lived there for a wee while. And when you get to Birmingham area, like Birmingham, Wolverhampton, all these sorts of places, Coventry.
They're like an hour odd drive out of London, you know, like they're quite nearby.
They are, but it's you can definitely feel that I'm Scottish and you're English.
Just because we're so funny and cool and they're all...
Because we're brilliant, but they don't like... They're just not the same. That's what my mum always says. They're just not the same as us, they're just different. There's no explanation, it's just a diagnosis, but no explanation.
It's not you, Martin, it's them, okay?
Listen, it's never your fault. Don't ever say sorry.
You're the best, Martin. Martin, you're the best. Right, so growing up and partying in that magic, good secondary school, you managed to get a grip of everything, you weren't getting bullied and that. And
secondary school.
You got an operation, didn't you? You got an operation, your hips to...
So I had an operation when I was 13 was born with cerebral palsy. So I was born 3 months premature, which meant that basically I was half cooked, really. Like I wasn't really ready to come out. I came out looking like one of the wee aliens that used to get in the egg.
Oh, I remember them.
Do you remember the guy that used to say, "Mine said babies"?
Put them in the fridge. No bother, mate.
In the fridge, don't feed it after midnight and don't get it wet. And then, so I had the operation when I was 13, but I had 2 operations. So I got a metal plate in my hip, groin operation, then I got all sorts of stuff done to the top of my legs, both sides. But they kind of made a mistake with the operation, so it went wrong a wee bit, where they thought that in the best interest of myself and their medical opinion, that they would operate on both legs, whereas I've always maintained that they should have operated on one. So they operated on both, which meant that after that I used a wheelchair to get about. So
did the operation go okay in one leg?
No, the operation. So basically, they did both legs at the same time. So it wasn't a case of it gone okay. The operation, what they performed, went fine. They just maybe shouldn't have performed.
So it probably gave you a limit, like less time. on your standing sort of thing? Because
no. So it's no. But the problem that it causes now is that because of the way they cut the muscle, the legs. So I've got full feeling in like my legs and stuff. The problem is that the muscles can't develop mass, so strength or whatever. So the fatter I get, which is happening.
Oh my God! I can't go on.
Oh man, with this lockdown stuff, man, I swear to God, it's not just the wheelchair that's rolling out, man. It's me and all. So basically, it can't develop any muscle. So it just means that it stays the way it is in my legs, as far as hanging out a nest. So it's basically it. And then, so Jean decided to send me to a school.
You need to call her mum. Come on, your mother. Respect your mother.
Jeannie. It's always been a thing. I don't know why I don't call her mum. You know.
Gear Jeannie then. Don't.
It just feels weird me calling her mum. I've just always had that. I've just always been like, all right, Jeannie.
We'll go for Jeannie. Go for Jeannie.
Absolutely belt me if she would chase me.
But that's a power thing, though. No, I mean, don't power play me. No, I mean,
sorry, Martin. That's my bad. Don't cut this off.
No, you. That's what if Jean says to me, no, I mean, I'm going to smack you if you don't call me mum, which she used to say to me when I was younger because I was wee. But now that I'm bigger, she doesn't do that now because she's scared of me. But,
she's scared of you?
Come on. I'm petrified of my mum, I'll tell you that now. She would drop kick me any day. But so she decided to send me to a school for physically disabled kids that were still getting educated under sort of mainstream curriculum sort of thing. So, which was interesting in itself. It was in Rockhazy in Glasgow. I don't know if you've been in that area.
I stay like 50 minutes or 10 minutes.
It was called Ash Craig, so it was near Hugginfield Loch.
Right, okay.
And this school was nuts, man. I swear to God, like the only way that I describe it to people, like people always go, "Ask me, what was it like, man, when you went in?" Because obviously the primary school was so used to being with people that were just able-bodied people.
Running about like mad.
I remember just stepping into a school, right, man, and it was like a mix between like the fun house when those little cars used to go in and Shaun of the Dead.
I'm wondering, what was the humour like? Was there different humour?
Man, these are the foundations that get built on it. This is what I was saying. Like, it's funny how you become the person that you are in it, because point blank refused. I didn't want to go to this school, right? But obviously, when you're young, you're 13, man, you think, I'm not going to school. What? No, they ones there. I'm not like them, but I'm not disabled. Right, one of the classic things, right? So next minute you go, man, and it's like next minute you see these guys and lasses, man, and some of them are floating about with electric wheelchairs going at 30 mile an hour, and some of them have got no horns, not that, man, but they're, you know what I mean, but they're scratching their nose with a fit and all that, you know what I mean? This is amazing, man. I can't believe this is actually happening. So, but then, so you go there, and it had like bars on the windows and that. And I used to have this and honestly, it's not because we try to chew ourselves out. Yeah, like, just like, I don't know why they had bars on the window.
Probably for the last building it used to be.
Yeah, probably. We used to have this. We used to call it the ice cream van. Me and my pals. Where the bus used to come and pick me up in the morning. We used to call it the special bus, the ice cream van. All that, and then all the other disabled ones would be sitting there all living in my area, and they'd pick us up and take us to school and drop us off. But that's kind of where I learned that, I suppose, how to with people with different disabilities and what you can achieve and all that sort of stuff, and like, and obviously, secondary school's a nightmare anyway. So it's
I know.
See, any things.
What sort of see when you were in secondary school? So what sort of aspirations did you have? You were thinking about getting into media and stuff like that, or were you?
Never thought about getting into media. I don't know, mate. I was a bit like, I was never an academic, put it that way. Like I liked English and I liked woodwork and all that. You know what I mean? Like, and I love sport. That was always the thing. Like, sport was always number one in my mind constantly. You know what I mean? But I never had any thoughts. Some people have got it so focused, don't they? Some people are like, this is what I'm going to do in my life, and I know what I've got to do to get there. I'm going to get these grades, and I'm going to go to uni, and then I'm going to go and achieve this, and that's.
And they've got a map. They've got a map set out, and they.
Aye, totally. But that was never me. That was, do you know what? Because I don't know. I just never had. I never had a thought. All I knew was what I liked. I know I like doing this, and I know I like doing that, and whatever what's going to be will be. But I suppose the reason why Ash Craig was so good as well was because you remember when you went to secondary school, how many pupils were in your school? Nearly 1,000?
Aye, something like that. It's
right? We had 100 all in.
Right.
It was like...
Wow.
Aye. So it was like 5 to a classroom or something. So it was proper good. Like, you proper got, like...
Educated,
Educated, like that one-on-one, like...
Spend a lot of time with you.
Got you, and then with the sport, what was good about it for the sporting aspect was that you started really quickly. Now, because when I played football, I was always at a disadvantage when I could walk. I'd always try my best, but obviously there were certain limitations that would mean that I couldn't compete on the same level when it came to certain things. Like, when that was always fine with me, that never bothered me. But then Ashcraig always, for the first time, that secondary school gave me, I saw people that were on the same level as me really quickly, where you get to kind of excel or figure things out against people that are of similar ability or disability to myself. So that was really good. And then obviously you do normal things like get girlfriends and all that. And
that must have done quite a lot for your confidence, though, eh? Like
it did. I say that to my mum now. Like I says to her at the time, I gave her a hard time for sending me to Ashcraig. Like, but I think if you look back, it's the single best decision. Like, if you're going to pick a big decision or something, she's made a lot of good decisions, but that one stands out for me as like the main one, because it must have been hard for her to think, I'm going to have to send my son to this school. Yeah. And she didn't know what it was going to go like, but she actually, I feel if I didn't go to Ashcraig, I wouldn't have been the person that...
It would have kept you. You said you maybe had a few moments in school when you were like bullied and that, but you went to that secondary school, you were on a par with everybody else, so it gave you this opportunity to be anybody you ever wanted to be. Like, you could be a confident guy, and you could be like...
I was never really... I was popular in secondary school, but I wasn't really... I was never the type of boy that was like show offy or anything. I wasn't like... kind of like that middle ground type of guy. Like, people that I had no problems with anybody I'd speak to in the pecking order when you were at school. You kind of like had the guys that were really popular, that when you talk to the guys who were goths. No, I mean, I don't know. Man,
you were pure Switzerland, weren't you?
Aye,
I was getting with everybody.
Just a nice guy, man. No hassles. I had no hassles, but it was the reason why it became good is because when I was doing when I went to Ashcraig, it facilitated me. You were asking me about my career and stuff, what my aspirations. It facilitated the basketball side of things. So what was really good was when I was 16, I met when I had my operation at 13, I met a guy who lived a couple of doors down from me, and he was in a wheelchair, and his name was Davey, and he says to me, do you want to play wheelchair basketball? Do you ever fancy it? And to be honest with you, I didn't fancy it. I was like, nah. Anyway, played for Glasgow at the time, just a young boy, 13, trying to like get used to the disability, get used to the sport, played in amongst men, sort of thing.
Alright, so was the age groups and stuff like that? Is it because
they did have age groups, but what they did to me at the beginning was I spent the first year in my training like just like ball skills, dribbling up and down court and shooting the ball and passing it and doing all that sort of stuff. And then you kind of, if you develop fast enough, you get into the team, and you start to develop with the squad more. But then when I started doing that, they identified me quite early. By the time I got to 15, 16, it got identified as somebody who could play a bit.
Very well,
so Great Britain at the time, because I was part of the sort of Great Britain programme at that point, so they asked the school if Martin picks his core subjects, would they be able to spend the rest of the time in the gym, and we'll obviously pay whatever needs to be done with his training and all that. So
how much was it? How much money? Was it loads of money?
I don't know. No, they paid us nothing, mate. They paid us absolutely nothing. And then
somebody said in Wikipedia it was 2 million. I just want to throw it out there.
That's too cheap, man. That's too cheap. They should have done their research better.
No, should have done the research.
So then after that, like the problem was that under with the Glasgow team, I wasn't getting a lot of game time, just because the guys who played there were perceived to be better players at the time, which everybody. So there's so next minute there was a guy called Stevie who used to play professional basketball, like able-bodied, and then got an injury and decided to play wheelchair basketball. And he came up with this stupid idea, this mad idea, right, that he would make his own wheelchair basketball team, and he would take the rejects from Glasgow and build a squad. So there was 8 of us to begin with. And
so
we
you went with him then?
I went with him, because I wasn't getting any game.
So you went with him even though you were touted to be...
Aye, because the thing is, like, I was the only way that GB were seeing me play. International scouts were seeing me playing was when I went to wee tournaments that you would do, like a kind of like a youth tournament or something. There was never, but I wasn't playing week on week for the team. I would maybe get like, honestly, there was a game where they gave me 15 seconds at the end.
No, that's not good.
So then Great Britain are kind of like, they're saying, oh, you don't need to rush. Then you want to play, you want game time, you want to do that thing. So
get under your belt.
So me and the guy who I first met when I was 13, Davey, who introduced me to the game, he left and a bunch of us left, and we were called the Lothian Phoenix. We were based in Bathgate in Edinburgh. And
was that one of the things in Harry Potter?
It's mad. It's mad. But then we ended up, so we made this mad idea, Stevie developed this team of 8 players. We started off in Division 3, and within 5 years we were in the first division. Like,
wow, man!
Absolutely.
Have you seen the movie Semi-Pro?
I've seen it.
So that, man. That is so that. That is so you.
Do you know what? I kind of like to see.
Like you've took your hat off. Look how crazy you've been. You've been, get my hair out.
It's because I said to myself, I was like, should I do my hair for this? I should have known. I was like, do you know what, man? The boys will be
You've seen
all
my
right.
hair, mate, so you can do whatever you like, man. This hair is bloody out of control.
But see that Semi-Pro, but man, see the bit where he you know, how did he get here? And he was like, we traded you for a fridge. That's kind of how wheelchair basketball works, man. Like,
is it?
You know what I mean? It makes them don't know how to open a fridge. So, it's fine. But,
fridges are useful, man. Fridges are useful.
None of them know how. They can't get a big fridge because they can't reach top shelf, so useless. But,
oh, there's a comedy. There it is.
So then the thing that you do when you play for a wheelchair basketball team at a kind of like national level is you travel by convoy, by car together.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because we played in a British league, it wasn't a Scottish league, we played in the British league, so we travel up and down the country to, I think the furthest we went to was Wolverhampton, I can't remember the furthest, but anyway.
Which was like London then, eh?
Aye, so we'd spend all these weekends
a long time, man.
Just like, and we'd have. That's when you really start to realise, you know,
bond.
Because this is like, for a boy like me, you know what I mean, like seeing older guys, you know, get girlfriends, guys in wheelchairs and all that with different disabilities that have got wives, and then you go out a night out with them all, and you see them all, you know, behaving in a way that you'd never thought was possible. You know what I mean? You're like, you know, that isn't me. That won't be me, because that like, isn't for me, sort of thing. So you'd learn. You're learning the basketball and the philosophy or whatever your teams try to teach you about being a good person and being a good player. Yeah. And amongst all that craziness, you've got you're bunking up with 2 other guys that have got, you know, legs missing and all that, or you know what I mean, some kind of horrible ailment that they've inherited or been born with. So that kind of changed my life a wee bit. That's when life really changed. That's when it really got to a point where it was like, actually, this is nuts.
So, were you one of the youngest people there then?
I was. For quite a while. For quite some time. I was the youngest, and then the team just started growing, sort of thing. And people obviously wanted to come and play for us because it was kind of built on. Wasn't just about the basketball, so it was never about saying to somebody you're the best player, so you were going to play you. It was all about developing. Because we understood that you've got a disability, you've got enough barriers, so we're going to try and teach you a philosophy in life rather than just about the basketball.
I've been focused on the game. It
was about other things, so that's why people started to hear about it and wanted to come and play and whatever. And it was just a crazy time. We had so when we started going on tour, so when we got really successful, we started going on tour in Europe and playing a wee bit in Europe and all that stuff. And then
Europe, man. Wow.
So we started playing that. We would have like a tally.
Yeah, keep going, mate. Don't.
You can always tell you've got that. When you get a wee laugh, you know something's coming.
We'd have like a tally sort of thing to see, you know, who could come up with the worst disability. So when we used to go nights out, we used to tell lassies that we'd met the most elaborate story about how to get disability.
This is the good stuff.
We'd have like a board with like tally numbers on it to see, and whoever won at the end, you know, had legend status. But there was pictures involved where guys would take their prosthetic half. So we'd have challenges like that where either if a guy had one leg, he would take his prosthetic half and get the lassie to cuddle it while she was sleeping and then take a picture and all that. Like, you had to prove it. Like, we used to have the wee small guys, and we used to put them in. We used to wrap them up in Christmas packages and that, and give them to like the nurses and stuff, and they'd pop it and fight them and stuff. So we had like loads of challenges. Do you know what I mean? So, and then do you remember Soccer AM?
Oh, aye, love it.
They used to have that. They used to have that challenge. Remember that people used to make a pyramid in the lift.
Aye.
So you press the button. So you press the button at the top, and then you'd have to make this human pyramid by the time you got to the bottom or something. I can't quite remember what it was, but we tried it every time we get in a lift. So no matter how big or small the lift was, we would try and do this, right? We have about 5 years. It was solid, man. We never achieved it. But that became like a big hanging off. Like, we couldn't get the last guy up because he was a bloody spinal injury and he had no balance. By the time we got halfway up the pyramid, he was already falling and all that. So we couldn't. They picked the wrong squad for that. But
you picked the right squad for getting yourself to international sort of stage, then, eh? Like,
so the international stuff kind of came as a bit of a surprise. So Great Britain, I wasn't good enough anyway. So in terms of like people that played my position,
be good enough for Great Britain, but you can be good enough to go international. That's weird, isn't it?
That
is that just my thoughts? Is that were you that bad? And you were in a squad that were really good?
I kind of understand what you mean. Like, I think I was good enough to compete, just no good enough. There was players that were way better than me. Like,
but did you have your was stats not that your points per game, rebut, like all that sort of stuff?
Stats were all about your money. So this was all about kind of when you get paid as a para-athlete or a disabled athlete or whatever they call it.
Call yourself an athlete, man. You're an athlete. You were doing well. I
was an athlete, mate. I was solid. Absolutely.
You were solid. What size are your shoulders now, man?
Mate, honestly, it's just pure fat now, mate. That's good. I wore a t-shirt that was 2 sizes too small for me.
This is a 9XL jumper, man, and I fell out.
Man, it's like, honestly, that's how the camera's like. But Great Britain, just players were too good, couldn't get in. So, funnily enough, the reason why I became Scotland captain, I think, was because the coach that made the Lothian Phoenix team became the Scotland coach. So naturally, he was going to take his own players. He didn't take all his own players, obviously, but he took a fair few.
Players who were good enough.
He took a fair few years, and then that's when
I feel like you're not tooting your own trumpet here, Martin, and you want us to do it for you. Just say you were good. Because you're sweating. Look at you sweat. You're sweating.
Mate, that's the booze coming out.
Your hair's fine. Your hair is fine. And the pubs opened up yesterday. Mate, that's not your fault.
Have you seen how red I am? No. Jane,
Oh
my God! Definitely get Mother Jane in here, man.
If you get Jane in there, man, she'll no stop. I swear to God. We had a Zoom. BBC Newsround had a quiz night every Wednesday night, and I was the quiz master this time.
This live? Was this for everybody, or was that just yours?
Oh, it was just for it was the whole of Newsround.
Just the team?
Just for the staff,
whole of Newsround, just staff people, right? And then I says to Jean, do you want to help me out? You know what I mean? Because you're trying to deal with the answers, questions, and all that. You're trying to.
It's a lot to handle.
I says, you can help me out, man. She was 2 gins down, man, and she does that thing that mums and dads always do when they're alone, like now when they're looking at somebody through a screen with a like that. She was going, Josh, like that, just constantly. And she ended up pissed.
How blue are your eyes, man? Oh my God.
Oh, man, crystal. But
these are blue. You're beautiful eyes.
Very blue, very blue.
You can't see mine through the reflection for my back door.
Gav's got black eyes. Gav is black, horrible. His aesthetics make up
for shark eyes. Pure shark eyes, man.
You'll see as the podcast goes on, mate, it'll get smaller and smaller the more I'm looking.
Gav's a beautiful man. Gav is a beautiful human being. But what I'd like to get at, because we're going to move on for, I don't know if we are. We might touch how do you do with sport, but no, we'll go on. We'll talk about your sporting career. Right. But I lived in Australia for a while, and I done like the Harlem Globetrotters.
Aye.
So I went to see them. My mate was working with them, and they done a half-time show. And we were drunk the night before, and he was like, they do a half-time show, and if you can do a layup, a free throw, a 2-pointer, a 3-pointer, and then a Harlem Globetrotter, they do like a 4-pointer for the halfway line.
Aye.
I'd do that, mate. No bother. Get me there, get me, I'll do it.
Steaming.
So the next day came, we got our tickets and we all went up and I went, it's not coming to me, man. There's 5,000 people here. There's no chance he's going to remember me talking to him about it.
Oh, mate, this is brilliant.
So half time came, there's like German brew houses, not that, in Melbourne, so you pay a £5 and you get 2 pints. So we had about 3 of them. Off we went. Half time came. The boy, we called him Jesus because he looked like what we know, he looks like Jesus, right? So he came up and was like, Kenny, come in. I was like, oh no. Aye, mate, hey, bother.
Oh man, that is devastating, wasn't it?
I'd love to have seen this.
It was horrible, but a wee bit of me was like, right, come on, you can throw a ball and a wee hoop. You'll be fine, no bother. Watching people before it, everybody got to the whole point where they're throwing the ball for the halfway line. I'm like, right, well, can't be that bad, man. And the guy just ripped the cunt out of me for a minute. I was going to call it, man. Like, where are you from? Like, Scotland. He's like, you don't play basketball there. I'm like, right, okay, mate.
Play basketball.
We don't, but I'm going to try. And he's like, well, should we just stop just now? No, right, so he was just taking cunt out of me. Done the layup. I was like, good, well done you. Free throw.
Well done you.
The 3-pointer came and he started shouting, hey guys, we got the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air ball. And I'm like, my attention's pure drawn towards him going, shut up, right? Stu, just shut up. And I couldn't get a 3-pointer in. It was the most difficult. I couldn't get power in my arms. I was just
see when you're saying that there, that just goes back to what we were talking about banter. Can you imagine somebody
Banter's
saying
okay, but
no, Kenny, can you imagine somebody saying in Glasgow, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but they would get absolutely...
Nah, mate,
everybody just... It depends. People in the basketball scene might go, haha, we know that one. You're shite.
So the basketball scene that I've ever seen is like that.
Exactly.
It was horrible, man. I always had I can always go. I've had the pleasure of like standing in the court at Melbourne. It was like Olympic Boulevard at half time, but I was made a fool of, man, big time.
Well, the Aussies they're pretty cutting with their banter. The Aussies, to be fair, like
this guy's American, mate. This guy tours with.
The Statesman.
He looked like who's the rapper I'm thinking of? And it's really upsetting. I don't remember who the rapper is.
It's no Will Smith.
Dreads. I'm going to say dreads, and you're going to hit Google. Every rapper's get dreads. He was really popular.
Lil Wayne.
That's exactly who he looked like, mate. Thank you. And I feel like you only know 2 rappers, and that's why of them. That's who looked like dreads.
Will Smith and Lil Wayne.
I was so upset. That pure gave me so much respect for anybody that plays basketball, regards it being on 2 feet or a wheelchair, man. By God, you're talented.
100%. Martin, what was he just on that? What was the competition like? Like, obviously, you get some good players, but did you ever play against the players you're thinking, oh my God, that these guys are just...
Oh, aye, definitely. Because you used to get, I mean, obviously, like, you've got people that have got different abilities and like that. It's just a normal setting, right? But we used to get some Iraq soldiers and stuff, do you know what I mean? And, like, these guys were like, when they sat up in their chairs, they were practically just as tall as somebody. Like, massive boys, man. But we would have times with it. There was one time when I played against a young boy. He plays for Great Britain. His name's Harry Brown, and I played against this boy when he was 16, and I was considered to be like a half decent player. People are like, Martin can hustle, he's all right. This boy tore me one, man. I was 16-year-old. This boy ran me ragged for a whole 50 minutes, man. I swear to God, I was so embarrassed. Like, he never just beat me, he embarrassed me. And then it would get in the teams. You need competition in teams. You need it, because if you don't, you just what you're there for.
You become complacent.
You do, but you get. You know what I mean? I used to get annoyed when I became captain of the team.
A normal basketball, like the NBA, 12 minutes. Like a quarter.
So we had 10 minutes. We had 10-minute quarters, and they would have. I think they've got 15-minute quarters in basketball. I'm not sure. Can't remember. But we would have 10-minute quarters. But obviously the game would go on because you would have timeouts and stuff. Or whatever. So you'd play a game for about an hour, average, just under. But so you get that competition. You get it but you need it. You need that competition all the time. You need it
to push you on, definitely.
Aye, totally, man. And I was always grateful for it. I always used to get excited if somebody was coming, you know, that was of the same sort of stature or same build, same sort of game as me. I would always think this is good. You know what I mean? Because
so see, just very briefly. So see, like a 1 minute sort of, what would you call it? A
segment.
I will call it a segment just because I can't think of the word I'm thinking of. The difference between normal basketball and wheelchair basketball.
Wheelchair basketball, there isn't any difference really, apart from the fact that you can double dribble in wheelchair basketball, whereas you can't double dribble in able-bodied basketball. Able-bodied basketball also is you can play the best 5, whereas when you play wheelchair basketball, when you play competition, you get given a point depending on a number, depending on between 1 and 5, depending on your ability and your disability. You're only allowed 15 points on court at one time. So I was a 2.5.
So you're only allowed 5 bodies, and then their cumulative points can only be 15 points.
Aye, so the way that it was ought to give people, because what you would do is if you had it would be unfair with anybody with certain disabilities, they wouldn't get any game time. So they would give you a point depending on your ability and the
to score.
Ability in the wheelchair and stuff, and ability to do stuff, whether you can scratch your own nose or whether you can't. You know what I mean? Like things like that.
That makes sense.
But so that's how it works. So in international competition like the Paralympics, I think it's 14.5 maximum points on the court or something. So you'll notice that every player will have like a number, like a 2.5, a 1, and you'll notice that the lower the number is, the more severe. Sort of like the less ability you've got to do certain things in the chair, and then the higher, I think 4.5 is the highest you can have now. I'm not sure, but that's the main difference in able-bodied competition. You would have the best 5 on court. Whereas
it's interesting to know, just because if you get somebody who can just splash freeze,
we had loads of guys that could do that anyway. So that was the thing about people's disabilities. You would always have the assessor coming and looking at you in the chair, but that had nothing to do how well you could play basketball. Do you know what I mean? Like It was just about whether you could lean and touch the ground and get yourself back up on both sides, like weird things like that. Like kind of like going for an assessment on your ability with a basketball.
It's just like the operation side of things, isn't it?
Totally. So, but then there was some guys who had severe disabilities, but as soon as you put a basketball in their hand,
they were magic.
You just be like, this is nuts, man. Like, it never ever ceases to amaze me sometimes whenever I see guys that could throw up the perfect basketball shot but have no fingers. Unbelievable. Like, there's a guy that done that regularly who I played with. No fingers.
See as well, Martin. See when you're talking like, able-bodied basketball, like they would quite a lot of times use their legs to obviously propel themselves, and it must take a lot more upper body strength to try and
pure core strength and pure technique. It is like it's just pure core. Like, and that's the main thing. And obviously, if you've got a good technique, it means you're not using as much energy and stuff. So you'd work towards. It's basically like sitting in a seat and doing it. It is like if you ever sit down and try and throw up a basketball to a 10-foot hoop.
I can't even do it. I'm standing, mate.
That's just Gavin. Gavin's like 4 foot. Like, so he's really small.
Right, mate, this joke's getting older, right?
Gav's legs. If Gav sits in a chair, his legs are swinging.
Like that wee guy, Dennis Waterman for Little Britain.
Correct. It doesn't matter what person you name there, I'm saying yes.
Is he like a borrower? Like
a borrower? Or a smurf? Or a troll? Any sort of small person, he's every one of them. But
I'm just going to kick Kenny in this chat now.
How did you two meet? Did you two go to the same uni? College it was.
There was a height like college thing, so he averaged it.
Did you feel sorry for him?
No, we met at college.
Aye.
See, you're talking about basketball as well. Like Kenny was I remember you being quite a decent basketball player.
I was okay. I was 6 foot. I'm 6 foot something, and Gav's not 6 foot. So
don't try to get a couple of inches on you. You're 6 foot, right?
6 foot. I'm 5'11" and a half. Actually, that's
no. So, you get people who, if they're 6 foot something, they don't know what height they are. But if you get somebody 6 foot below, they know exactly.
Oh, aye, definitely.
To the inch and the centimetre and the millimetre.
Yeah.
If
I lie down, I'm the length of 2 elephants.
Yes, aye.
I'm 5'6", Kenny.
5'6", and
5'6". That is a
small man. I know.
Man, mate. Yeah.
But no,
I
like,
think I'm 5'6" sitting down. Like, I'm sorry, mate. I'm no 5'6".
Oh, you bastard.
I'm at least 5'5", but sit down.
Can reach the bar, no bother.
Right.
So the good thing is with that though, Gavin, right, is that there's a few things that you can take for being small that I used to say to people that were height challenged in my circles, right? I used to say to them, you can fit into small places, which is fucking great, right? And you've obviously got a bit of attitude because every small man's got a bit of bite. It's just part
syndrome, the small man syndrome, mate, of course.
Part of it. But then also, you feel the rain. So you get in your world, it doesn't rain as much.
Gav, do you ever wish that camouflage tap you wearing now was like, oh, your face and you
I almost didn't see you there, Gavin.
Do you know what I was waiting? I thought that's the first thing Kenny's going to say to me. No. I was wearing this t-shirt coming down, about to come on. I thought Kenny's going to say,
you need to keep
see you.
All the bullets in your gun and use them as and when you need them. And that was one of them there.
You better hurry up before you forget them.
You're right. You're so right.
Right,
back to Martin.
Martin,
right,
so
when you go,
we're talking about, you mentioned the Paralympics, right? So 2012 Paralympics, you were a commentator, you done the media for it.
Aye, that's right. So
one of the guys. How did that come about? What was the sort of journey there?
Pure luck. So my brother, one day I was about to retire for the basketball and stuff, and my brother said Channel 4 are launching like a talent launch thing to find the presenter of the Paralympics in 2012. Like, they want you to submit a video, like a 1 minute YouTube video. You've probably seen it. It's absolute.
No, but I'm definitely going to get it up.
Honestly, man, it's garbage.
I'm going to attach a link onto this when we release it as well.
It's actually garbage, right? So I did the video, and then they asked me to. I got through that stage, and then they asked me to come down to London for 5 days to do the next phase, where they put us through our paces and made us interview media moguls and that. And then I got past that stage, and then it was basically I had to move down to London, and for a year and a half in the build up to doing the games, we had to basically prove ourselves every day. So we went on placement. So I worked for nothing. I worked for nothing at Newsround. So Newsround was my first placement, which is weird. And then ESPN for a while.
Wow.
Sky. I can't remember the other ones. ITV for a while, and did sort of placement.
Just loads of places.
Just to learn the ropes, and then when we won the damn placements, we were in the Channel 4 building, basically getting stripped down and getting built back up again to be able to write and tell stories in a concise manner that people.
No, you weren't. You were in the pub.
No.
I was living in Epsom at the time, in West London. It was full of Queen's Park Rangers fans. And I used to go into a pub called... What?
No, just briefly, what were you doing before the whole basketball media thing? Were you a joiner?
So I did. So I worked at City Building, which was like the council's and I did joinery with them for a wee while. Like,
did you finish it? Were you a fully qualified joiner?
No, I didn't. I was only there for 2.5 years or something. But in that time, that was brilliant enough. And funnily enough, with that place that I worked in, 50% of that workforce were disabled as well. Honestly,
it's a thing, innit? It's a thing.
It was great, man. Never gave a guy with neurological problems a nail gun.
Neurological problems.
Honestly, I tell you now, man, we had a few close calls in that place. Close. It never quite happened.
That's what you had to sign, Gavin. It had to sign. It was close calls.
It was close, man.
There was no full calls. It was just close.
There couldn't be full calls anyway, because everybody was already damaged anyway. You couldn't hurt them anymore. You know what I mean? Like, there's only so much more work you can do to people like that. But that was my mate's still. A lot of my mates still working there that I keep in contact with. And it's so mad. It's like Monsters Inc. You know that way? When they all walk in. So they all walk in, man, and they all like stamp their wee time sheet and all that, and they've got their you know what I mean? They've got their own wee stations, and they've got a big job to scare people today. Like, it's that kind of thing, and then they all walk out with their wee lunch boxes and that and go home. Brilliant. And the wee Monster Express comes and gets them and drops them off. It's brilliant.
But aye, so, sorry, back to the, so how did the Paralympics come about? So you done your Channel 4, you done all your different media.
Aye, so then I went and left the carpentry and went and took a chance they were paying us, I think, 12 grand a year to live in London. And
wow.
And it was mental, man. It was nuts. So I took the chance. The games happened, and it was one of the craziest times of my life. I'm going to be honest. It was because when we were in amongst it, my job there was to do the minority sports at the XL Arena. So like your table tennis, bocce, sitting volleyball. I can't remember all of them, but I was covering the different sports, and then I was covering GB House as well, where the athletes would come up with their medals with their families and we'd talk to them at night and all that sort of stuff. But then I ended up becoming the weather guy in the morning, right?
All right.
Because
you're a meteorologist.
that was well said that there after a couple of cans in you.
You see my mouth move very slowly.
Meteorologist, man, aye.
I'm a meteorologist.
I'm a pure meteorologist now, man. I mean, but
that's you, my man.
You're pure telling weather, man.
Get that weather told, my man. Tell them it's sunny.
So what happened was Rick Edwards, you know the presenter Rick Edwards.
I don't, mate.
He used to do T4 and all that, but he was doing the morning show, and basically the weather guy got sick, and I was in the office, and he said, "Can you do the weather for us?" And I said, "I'll do the weather for you as long as you let me do it my way." And he said, "What do you mean by that?" I said, "I mean what I mean. I get to do it my way. Like if I tell the weather, I tell the weather my way." Right, okay. Right,
that's brilliant.
So I managed to get. This is where the Paralympics really came alive for me. It was fuck all to do with the sport. It was all to do with the weather, which is really weird.
Really?
Aye, I swear to God, right. So ended up, I got two of the security guys, right, who wore the glasses and all that with the hang, and I drew these pictures out, like one with a big sun on it, and one with like a bit of rain and all that, and one with a bit of wind, and I got the two of them to stand next to me, and when I said the certain thing, they moved the cards, right?
Flash their cards.
But I did it as if I was a hard man, so I get my voice, and then I went.
Why can we not find this online?
I don't think it's there now, but I'll try and get it after that. He's probably still got it. And then, so what I did, my pie after it was, and that's the weather, right? Like that. And basically, like the whole studio were pissing themselves. So the next day, I was speaking to Rick Edwards the next day, and I says, "Oh, what am I going to do now?" He's like, "I don't know." I said, "I need to go for a pee, man." Right, so I just decided I'm going to do the weather for the toilet, right?
What?
Right.
So
no, this isn't real. You've just made this up.
God, right? So I swear to God, she's like, "We're going to go to Martin now." He's going to give us the weather, and I had like a wee high-vis jacket on with a mop and a bucket, right?
I'm out of the toilet.
and I turned in and I was like, I'm not. Channel 4 have decided that I'm not a very good presenter anymore, so they decided to demote me to clean the toilets and all that, right? So I started getting the weather. See, as I was finishing, a guy walked out and I said, "Excuse me, did you wash your hands?" And then the camera cut to like the studio and they were all like streaming greeting type thing, like because I was doing that with the plunger and all that when I was talking about the heavy rain, and they couldn't talk, so I ended up, making a name for myself as the mad weather guy who was.
That's brilliant.
End up in some mad place.
You need to try and find some of this footage.
I'll need to try and find them. Excuse me, sir, did you wash your hands? Is what I says to him, but I can't quite remember.
How hard is it? See, when you're doing things like that or presenting or whatever, how hard is it to change your accent?
I don't really change it now. So it was at the beginning because obviously when you live in Glasgow, you talk with a bit of a broader accent. But I think mine's happened quite naturally because my daughter, she lives in Coventry and stuff. So you just kind of get used to it. I don't think that I change my voice anymore. I don't change it. I just think it's me all the time. Like obviously, when you work in kids' telly, like there's an element to it where you've got to really be diligent with how you're saying things and what you're saying, and really in the tone and everything. But I still feel like that's me anyway. I don't feel like I change anything anymore. But at the beginning, it took a bit of work. Put it that way. Like I think that was one of Channel 4's things with me. Was always talking to me about trying to. Maybe no change it, but just dilute the roughness a wee bit and try and make it so that you can be accessible to everybody and no just your Glaswegian pals, you know what I mean? But it wasn't that difficult, it just kind of came naturally. And then the Paralympics was so mad because so I had to do that thing in the morning with the weather, and then I would have to go straight to the XL, so I'd got up at like 5 in the morning and then I wouldn't get to bed until 12 or whatever, straight back up. But I remember having this moment, right? I remember my mum phoning me because we were in this fucking crazy bubble, do you know what I mean? And I remember my mum phoning me and saying, Martin, do you realise what's happening? And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, everybody's talking about these games. Like, everybody's raving about the Paralympics, about how unbelievable these athletes are and like how amazing the
Channel
games
4.
are. I mean, people
Channel
are
4
really
must have
loving this.
funded that.
Nah,
to
so
put it
basically,
back teeth. It was unbelievable.
aye, but I remember, do you remember the advert for it as well, like the Superhuman
it was
one?
huge.
Aye. Well, they did spend £1 million on it, but
there you go, millions.
I spent a lot of money, but I remember this one moment when I was sitting on like the DLR in London or something, going towards one of the arenas or something. I saw this wee boy talking to his pal, and he must be about 12. And he's like, "Did you watch the Paralympics?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Did you see that guy?" And he started imitating Richard Whitehead's run. Now, Richard Whitehead's like a double amputee in the legs, and he's got like straight prosthetics. So when he runs, he kind of outswings his legs. And I remember like, I was sitting next to my pal who was working with me at the time, and I remember just looking at him going, "What?" I was like, "This is the best thing I've ever seen." Like, because in my time, I'd never seen anybody imitate a Paralympic athlete before, or speak about a Paralympic athlete, and even know who they are. So that was the bit where the penny dropped for me. And then when the games had ended and we kind of went back on with our daily lives, like everything just changed. Like everything was so nuts. Like it was hard for any of us, like me and Alex Brooker, who does the last leg and stuff. He went through the same. So he went through the same thing as me. So
did you have scripts and stuff like that? Did you know, or was it just kind of left to you to, like, obviously you'll get a rough idea what you're going to be talking about, depending on...
Well, we never had scripts, so the way that my job kind of worked is obviously with the sport, you know who's playing, you know who we're looking at, so you know we're looking at GB athletes, and you know there's a chance that you could make it through or she could make it through, and then you explain the narrative about how the sport went at the time. Like, so we would give ourselves script as the games were going on. You would write certain things down, and then when it came my time to talk, then I would have points that I would want to discuss or get out, and that was that. It was pretty relaxed though. They would just say, "It's gives 90 seconds on, you know, whatever somebody's doing." And just gives 90 seconds on it. I suppose the main thing, like and I still take this from me today, it's just always about the research for me. Like especially with working at Newsround now, do you know what I mean? Because you're speaking to a younger audience about worldly events and things that are really important, and like they're soaking in. You've got to make sure that what you're saying is right, and you've got to know what you're talking about, and you've got to be able to explain things to people in a way that is easily digestible, which isn't with sport. That's pretty easy because everybody talks the same way in sport. It's a bit of a cliche sport, innit? You could read the same article about football as what you do about basketball. It's almost as if somebody's used the same blueprint. You know what I mean? But so that's all right though. Do you know what I mean? That's how people like it, and that's how they like to take it in. But so for us, in terms of the Paralympics, that was good. The difficult part was researching, remembering names, remembering the wee nuggets that people don't know. Like that was the hardest part. Like,
I find that
facts and stuff,
especially like you're saying, research in this day and age with the whole coronavirus thing. I think I drove where I live to the shopping centre, which is 3 minutes away. They had the adverts like false information regarding coronavirus is rife, and I heard it two times maybe in a 3-minute drive, just because the information you find Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all the social medias, it's so bad.
I know.
Well, this has been, you know what, see, for being Newsround has never been so prominent because of that. You know what I mean? Like when you, because we've had 2 million views in the last week. Like when it comes to not just coronavirus, but the Black Lives Matter movement and all that stuff, and like whatever's happening. So see, whenever something, and you're right, the information out there, that's the difficult part. Is like trying not to pay attention to. But even, do you know what? See, when you work in the media, but as well, see when you work in the media. Like that's what I've found. See the BBC. I'll say it. The BBC are guilty of this as well, and so is every other outlet. Like, if you let's take the.
Stu, you be careful now.
Oh no, I'll be alright. I'm dead vocal. I'm vocal with my voice about the BBC all the time. But it's that thing where, see, if you show people pictures and you use certain words, it's harder to get people not to believe that.
Correct.
See, you know what I mean? Like with that rolling news all the time, you're watching it, you're looking at these pictures, and they're devastating all the time. It's always dead dramatic in it, and then the words they use, and you're like, and your brains, it would take you double, triple the time to reverse it. If you had to
unwind that. But I think like something like Newsround it's something you're getting to kids. So when you think something who's been researched, blah blah, fed on to kids, you would go, this has to be right. Like, there's no way
Totally, man.
something is going to be fed to kids. Like, you've got to take that as gospel, because there's no way the BBC is going to feed absolute dribble and false information to kids. That you need to believe that sort of thing.
But that's the thing that we do. This is where people are most interested in news round with the media when you work within it, like you guys or whatever, because you know yourselves when it comes to creating narrative and telling a story. The hardest thing sometimes when you're trying to put things down on paper or when you're trying to show something is actually keeping it short. You know what I mean? Keep it. You're always trying to overcompensate for something, but I suppose for us it's always been, we never assume knowledge. So see, normally when we watch something, we'll carry on from where we've seen the story go for last night. You know what I mean? So you go, last night.
You assume people know.
Whereas
never assume knowledge. That's a great saying.
Aye, so you never assume knowledge. Never. And then what's really good about it is the hardest part when it comes to the tragic things that happen in the world is try to make it no scary. Know what I mean? Try to make it no scary. So we've got to keep the script really short, keep it concise, stick to the facts. But then the good thing about Newsround is when we make videos, when we create content, we can do it in such a way that's more creative. It doesn't look newsy. It's no a BBC sort of style. We use animation, we use graphics, we have special programmes, documentaries commissioned all the time if we need to go deeper into a story or whatever. And then obviously we all just get used to working with young people all the time, so we know how to approach it.
Yeah,
so,
definitely. But what was it like? See when you were going on the sort of Paralympic stage, what was the point? There must have came a point where you thought, wait a minute, I'm a boy for Partick in Glasgow, now on a massive stage broadcasting to the world.
Aye.
Did that hit you at any point?
Nah, no, during it didn't.
No,
That's what I was meaning. So during it never really did, because at that time I never get the chance to watch any of it. That's what I was saying. So I used to get up at 4 or 5 in the morning, go to work, and then when they get in till 12. So by that time it was all done. So I seen none of the games at all. Like, I never got to see it.
See when you're carrying the torch?
Aye.
Did you see your face in that picture, man? You look so unhappy, man.
They
feel as if they've dragged you out your bed and went, Martin, you need to do this now. If your mom's like, you need to go to school, get out and go to school, and you're like, oh, God's sake, man.
I was raging, man. You're the one that's going to light the torch. I was like, what? Man, I'm raging. You need something else. Katie Betty. Let Betty do it.
Hey, Betty.
Betty, man. She loves a good torch. But no.
She loves lumens.
She loves lumens. She does, man. She's a proper arsonist. She loves it, man.
An arsonist.
But no, I think that, do you know what? I think there was so much going on at that time, and all. Like, I never really understood what was happening then, you know. I never really.
No, I think.
Even they says to me, "Oh, you're going to be lighting the torch." I just thought that they meant my own torch. So I was like, all right, cool. So then, when we got to the end of the line, the guy had to tell me to come up to the stage because I didn't know what he was talking about. So he's like,
really?
And I'm going, all right. And then he's like, just put the torch there. He's like telling me what to do. I'm just a spectator at my own show, apparently.
No, I can't believe. See Channel 4, see all the channels. Like, I don't know how many people listen to this, right? But when you think of channels, I was a boy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Didn't really have Sky too much, but see Channel 4, it was dead edgy.
Aye.
And they went wild with it, man. They were pretty fucking cool with it, because it was.
Do you know what was funny about that?
Made you watch it. Watch it.
Totally, man. But do you know what's funny about that whole thing that you just said? Channel 4, literally, the bosses who ended up being my bosses, who dealt with the Paralympics, who were in charge of getting that output out there, they were all pissed in a pub one night.
Yes.
And the deadline for the pitch, for channels to pitch, was like 2 days away. And somebody went, let's take the Paralympics. And honestly, and they ended up throwing a pitch within a day. And they committed to over 8 million. I swear to God, right? But that's how most of our, see when we worked with Channel 4, that's how most of your creativity came out, because they would just take you out, right? They would just take you out and be like, right, what do you think about when we'll go out for the day? But they'd take you to big posh places, and all that, where you'd be like, this was just looking, you know what I mean?
Intense.
You get any tenants?
And they're like, aye, exactly, mate. I was like, yeah, man, do you get Buckfast on tap in? No.
Because Partick Taverns go to it.
What guys, I've never tried Buckfast out the bottle, but I've tried it out of
the other rice.
I've tried it. I know at the bottle, but that's another story for another day. No, I tried it at the draft one, whatever the Partick Taverns.
Aye.
I tried it.
Did they have that in draft? That's disgusting.
They did have it in draft. They had
For
this
about a minute.
slush puppy one, and all they had like a Buckfast slush puppy thing at one point. That was quite good.
It's rotten.
Eat to the range. But,
Each to their own, Martin. Nevertheless, let's get back to the Channel 4 big wigs.
So that was fun. So that was a bit mental. So I spent most of my time working with Channel 4, either feeling emotionally drained or feeling pissed.
Good balance.
Oh man, it was, and obviously I had like Alex Brooker and all that was coming up with me and whatever, and he's funny, man. He used to have me in stitches, I swear to God, but he's doing well now. But we could kind of see towards the end when the games were just about to come on that we could make a real crack at this. Do you know what I mean? We could have a real good go, and we could actually be making something happen here. Something could be happening that we don't really understand or whatever. But it's something positive, something good's going to come out of this. And it did.
You worked quite closely with I'm saying it. We Alex Brooker as if he's my pal.
Oh, Alex. Me and him, basically that talent thing that I went for that started all this off. We did the same thing. It was the same.
Wow.
Same thing. So he's
fucking. Sorry, I swore there, but he's real big time now, man. Like his leg and every other show, man.
He did that documentary, My Disability and Me, recently. I think he did that. I slagged him off about that one, mind you. But
did you say back? Go. What's your bank balancing?
That's just what he says to me all the time, mate. He just slags me off because I'm skint and he's no. But so we all came up together and there was a great team of people like all the time. I
don't think there's ever been I don't watch, sounds pure terrible, but I don't watch our Paralympic Games, but see when Channel 4, there's something about Channel 4 that I love, like dead edge, forward, there's no they put everything in your face.
I think they're not as worried as maybe something like BBC or
that's it.
When you look at some of the shows that have been on, like 8 out of 10 cats does count, like, do you know that sort of way? Do you know what I mean? Like,
they're great. Do you know what? There's certain types of people that work at Channel 4, and you can imagine the types of people they are. So whatever you've got in your mind is who works at Channel 4, you're right. That's
you're exactly right.
That's who works there. Do you know what I mean? But they just weren't scared to take risks, but at the same time, amazing. Everybody was amazing at their job, and they're such amazing creative people. You know what I mean? Like the ideas they come up with, they were so determined to get the disability aspect right and to make athletes.
They threw it in your face, and they weren't shameful to do it, and they just went, "Watch us." And I was
that's what it needed. It needed that. The BBC.
It broke barriers. It broke so many barriers.
Oh, big time! And it wasn't until after when the games had finished and the dust had kind of settled that we had realised
how big it was.
Oh, we're part of something pretty big there. Like that was pretty cool. Don't get me wrong. I don't think I could go through it again. To be honest.
But did you find it stressful?
I find the whole process because I wasn't too sure whether I was going to get the sack at one point because there was people. I think over I can't remember how many thousands of people applied for that talent contest thing, but only 8 of us made it to the end. So it was like constant.
There's an article online, the Daily Record, and that saying that your brother told you to apply for it, and you missed the birth of your daughter for 5 days, and you pushed on, you went for it, and you went for it.
Is that true?
I never met, so I was there during the birth, but I left on it. So daughter was born at 6 in the morning. I was on a train at 12.
Right, okay.
Oh, that's okay. Oh no, like no.
I will let you agree that.
It's needless to say, me and the daughter's mum weren't together anymore.
But nevertheless, you went through that's mad. Like I know, Mum. She's pretty well, and she would not fuck at me if you wish.
Man, to be fair, I've got a lot of people to thank for it. Do you know what I mean? That's it. I mean, I did work hard to get there. Don't get me wrong. I made sacrifices. I worked hard, but there are people to thank. No doubt about that. Like my daughter's mum, Vicky. Like I don't know how she put up with it when she did. God knows. Because we had no money. I wasn't there. Do you know what I mean? It was just nuts. It was just crazy.
That's what the article says. I think it's the Daily Record. It was Daily Record.
Aye.
It was saying that you never get paid for X, Y, and Z, and push, and you go up with your and the rest is history.
And then that's it. I mean, I suppose, so after the games, I get told when I was at Channel 4 that I'd be doing T4 when it finished. So they said...
T4?
So they said, once the games are finished, we're going to put you onto T4 with Jamila. So I was like, cool. I was like, no bother, fine. But then it got decommissioned. So then I was kind of left.
Just as years went on, aye.
So that's what happened, and then I ended up with a newsroom. They came back and got me. So
Martin, what's the see your nerves, right? Because I'm assuming you must have got some sort of nerves, right, when you're presenting something or whatever. Do they ever go away? Do you still get a wee bit of?
No, I don't think you can't allow them to go away, but it changes. But in a sense, so when I first started doing live broadcasting, like doing live stuff, then you get that kind of nerves where you go, I'm going to throw up, man. That kind of nerves, you know what I mean? Like I'm going to absolutely, I'm chunder here, man. I'm out.
Chunder?
Chunder.
Weird word, man.
Yeah, I'm starting to get my Glaswegian vocabulary back. I'm loving it, man. Right?
So, I just find the word chunder's weird.
It is weird. It's actually a horrible word. It's actually horrible.
It's weird.
We'll go for it and run with it though.
We'll refuse. You will never say chunder.
Oh my god, I was totally going to spew. My god. But no, I thought. But now I don't get the sicky feeling. I get the butterfly feeling now when I want to do it. But I'm still nervous but I fuck up all the time. Like the kids that watch Newsround, man, all they ever do is laugh at me because I just constantly fuck it up. But I
is it that bad? You can't be that bad.
Nah, I don't. When I say I fuck it up, like I don't fuck it up in a monumental sense. You
do it that you can get away with it, kind of thing.
The odd
word. Get my facts right, but say for example, I try and tell a joke at the end or something. So they were talking about how I remember this one on Newsround in the studio where they were somehow Thailand police were giving away pineapples for some reason to stop traffic. It was a weird story, right? I can't remember what the story was. But I tried to come up with a joke saying that why did the pineapple stop the road that ran out of juice or something shite like that, right? But I got it in reverse and I fucked it up and I said the joke and then I just stood there and looked at the camera and went, nah, that's not right, is it? And I'm just like, let's just roll on. Roll VT sort of thing, like, do you know what I mean? Like,
roll
just,
VT.
I just have a bit of a laugh.
Flaming.
I just have a bit of a laugh with it, but I think that's another thing with what I've done is with newsround journalists are like, so we've got a team of newsround presenters and we've all got their own sort of individual niche thing that we bring.
I see on the newsround website, you're a hard man to find.
Well, with newsround, I know, because the thing is, I don't know if you've found this when you were at college and doing the media thing and all that stuff, but everybody wants to be a presenter. Do you know what I mean? Like, everybody in their dog, right, wants to be a presenter. Like, oh, I'm going to be a presenter. You're like, all right, good. Or a radio presenter, or do something, which is fine. But see me, man, I've always been more interested in the making of stuff and all that. Like the other team, like the other ones, the other people that they're just like screen hungry, man. They want to be like, they want to be doing stuff, which I think's great. But this has been difficult on the Newsround website now because obviously I've been working from home. So, but when I'm back in Manchester, I'm usually the one that's in studio. So that's how I'm very rarely on the website itself because I'm usually.
No, I just felt like mention that because I was like, I'm trying to find you. So you find out the last thing you put out, and I'm like,
no, the last thing I put out was International Jokes Day, I think, and I read out some of the jokes at some of the
international jokes.
Right, Martin, tell us your favourite joke.
Favourite joke ever? No, just your international one.
I can't do that, man, because I don't like to discriminate against jokes. I don't have. I'm not a favouriteist. Like,
what is your favourite ever joke? No international joke day thing.
No, but I'll tell you one. I'll tell you one that I like because I'm such a dad joke guy, right?
I love a dad joke. Love it.
Oh, look, man, I'm terrible with dad jokes, right? Because I like any joke, man. I laugh at it. Swear to God, right? But
just make sure you present it well, man. Just don't fuck it up. Eh?
I'll try my best, right? I'm starting to get the butterflies, but I'm getting it in a chundery, like. But my daughter turned into me the other day and she says, Dad, a snail went to the doctor's. I was like, did it? And she went, a snail went to the doctor's, and the snail says, Doctor, I've lost my shell. And the doctor says, how do you feel about that? And he says, sluggish.
Nice. Absolute gold, man.
You know what? But you know what?
Dad joke gold.
That's the kind of stuff.
No,
that
that
gets
is
me, but
class.
that's
No,
the kind
that's
of
good.
stuff that gets
No,
me.
you need to
I'm
appreciate
such
that.
I mean, at the end of the day, when I'm with the boys and they tell me their jokes, man, they're so in the gutter.
You can
man.
never repeat them. Ever.
Oh, no, you can't.
No way,
tell them.
man. No way.
They're
I was
disgusting.
out, when I was out last night with some of the boys, man, we hadn't seen each other in a pub for ages, and it just...
It's weird. I've not been there. I've not done it yet, but I feel like you've hit like this big, like there's a car, and when you fill a car, it gets full, and that overflowing petrol or diesel right at the end of the car. Like, come on, there's jokes. I was like, how do you calm down? Just relax. We've all seen each other and just calm down.
Do you remember when we were younger, right? When you're about 17, 16, you start going to the pub a wee bit and you get that crazy excited feeling,
excitement,
man.
the mad weirdness.
Oh, you're going out. That's what it was like yesterday.
Aye,
nuts, man. So I kind of escalated very, very quickly. But anyway.
Aye, and it lasted just a bit too long.
Too long, mate. We definitely spilled there. That's for sure.
No, right. We'll move on while Gav's away, because I can't believe he's been so unprofessional in doing that. But
absolutely terrible, mate. He's left us where we
disgusting. I wouldn't do that to you. I wouldn't do
that.
Mate.
I know you've only done it twice, so don't be.
Don't be rude.
Just because you broke the seal, but if you broke the seal and now you're just like going every 2 seconds.
The seal has been broken. I've had too many beers, and just the excitement that you came on has got the better of me.
Was that what it was? You need to be sedated?
100%. No, I don't need to be sedated, but
sedated with the beers just to calm my nerves, man. Not
just a couple, because it's such a big lad and with such a big presence as yourself.
Aye. How did you get on with Des? Because I worked with Des Clark recently.
Have you worked with him recently?
Aye.
Right, well, you need to tell me that. The rest of the questions I was going to ask you there are just irrelevant.
Yeah, Des doesn't do. Des doesn't do one of his TV shows.
Oh, he never shared that. Not that he knew you were coming on, but
no, we did that together. So we did that. When was it? We did it last year. This time last year, we filmed it.
Right, okay. What are you doing? You might as well share it now. Nobody listens to this anyway.
So he basically Des is scared of everything, isn't he? Like, yes. So he doesn't like dogs, or he doesn't like high heights, he doesn't like water, he doesn't like oxygen, doesn't like breathing, scared of everything.
He likes a radio studio, and Des will live in that quite contently.
He actually would. Des would live in his wee bubble if he could, but we worked on a show. Basically, they created a show where they would challenge Des to do stuff
he wouldn't do.
Aye, exactly. And I was the final episode where I'd really put him at his paces, because they picked it out because I did Australia's first wheelchair bungee jump or something. So I've done a bungee jump in my wheelchair for like a stupid height.
How did the landing go? Are you going to tell us
that? It went really well,
end?
Actually. The landing went really well, so I managed because of physics.
Because you're a boss.
Because I'm an absolute weapon, mate. Like, I did a wheelie off the platform so that the wheelchair stayed in the same position. So it dunked me underwater, but it went wheels first.
Right, okay.
Well, no.
Because it's all about...
Because why did you choose to get yourself underwater at some point?
No,
why did you not just stay at a big great field 3 mile long?
Because it was funny, because the whole
right, okay, well, it was no. I just need to tell me it was comic value. That's fine.
No,
I just felt that...
Aye, that's where you chose to do it. That's why.
You're going to bungee jump into water.
There you go.
Aye.
There's a bit of logic there. If you do it on concrete or
I
grass,
just needed to know. Really hurt.
But anyway, they basically made me his mentor for this 3 days to try and encourage him to like various tasks. So the first task is we went to M&D's and went on the crappiest roller coaster that I've ever been on in my life.
So
he did that, and then we went to that Go Ape place the day after.
Oh, aye.
No,
I foil on it. Is it something like that?
He didn't take to that one too well. That big zip wire thing, and then the third one was a bungee jump at the SECC.
Oh,
that's
the big crane.
Big crane.
Aye. So the way that this ended up is we went up on. He's really scared of heights. He is genuinely. I
felt that there was a skydive. Sorry, I felt this was the big skydive sort of thing.
No, well, he was supposed to do a skydive. He was supposed to do one, but he decided. Aye.
Sorry, Jez.
But the story, the way it went, is that it was pouring the rain that morning. It was windy, and like we're up in this big crane or whatever, and he's standing there, and I says, "Do you want me to go first?" And he says, "Aye, Martin." You know what he's like, dead. "Aye, Martin, you go first, pal. Right, you go first. Get it.
Right, Martin, you do it. You be the best.
You do it, all that, man. You're brilliant. So you'll get out. Nah, like, see you later, pal. Sayonara."
Aye, I'm worth better than you, Martin. If you die, then I'll go. I'm not doing it.
And then something happened. So basically because it was windy, I stood up and I slipped. And when I slipped, half my body went out of the carrier
edge.
So I was basically looking down on the hang, right? And Des had this like exponential meltdown, man, where he was just like, "Oh my god, like, I'm not there." Not that, like, it was proper. And then it ended up, and anyway, I did the jump, went down, and Des was just like, "Nah, I'm not doing it, man."
So is this been aired? Is this
aired on BBC Scotland?
Aye.
I think October time or something.
I was going to say it was late last year.
Did you
no,
watch
because
it?
it was. Des doesn't do it.
That's it.
Des was talking about it.
No, I never watched it.
He wasn't talking about being a shite bag.
No, I was talking about where it aired and stuff though.
Oh, he totally bottled it. But I don't. Here, see, to be honest with him, with you and him, I don't think like I can't blame somebody if you've got a fear or something like that. Like,
well, I'm telling you right now, Martin,
I'm
petrified of heights, and I would not do that. There's no.
Aye.
No
you can't give somebody a hard time for being, you know what I mean, for being petrified.
Scared of something.
And he actually,
it doesn't help when you go to do it, and it doesn't look right.
Aye, but what was funny between me and him is it was my job to try and encourage him to do it, right? It was my job.
Martin going, right, come on, Des. And,
just jump, just 1 foot in front of the other, Desmond. And like after when the camera stopped rolling, he's like, "Gunny, you fucking shut up, man." All I can hear is
Martin, do you know what you should have said to him?
Man,
bet you don't, you shite bag.
I did.
No.
Did you say that to him?
Don't say that. You say,
bet you
the
don't.
word is, the sentence is, "Shite bag if you don't."
Aye, that's
the one.
That's the one. You know.
That has brought me.
There's you know what he says to me. "I know you are, but what am I?" That was his response.
Right, I know you need to admire that.
I was like, "Grow up, man."
Right. See one of the shows. So I'd seen a wee article. Obviously, you done a show, Totally Senseless game show.
Aye.
What was that like?
I wrote that, so that was like.
Is that you wrote that?
Aye. So
brilliant.
I wrote a comedy show, which was kind of like a mix between a game show and it's saying right, but then there was like a bit of like a scripted element to it, the background in between the games sort of thing. So BBC Three liked it. I wrote it, submitted it to BBC Three. Asha Tala, who's the guy who produced The Office.
The Office.
I gave him the script and he liked it, so it was his production company that gave it the backing. And then I co-wrote it with a lady called Gina Lyons, who's really funny. And basically, BBC Three took it as part of their Disability Awareness Month sort of thing. Aye, so we did that. Filmed one episode. It was really good, really funny. Like, had a great time.
So, why can we not find it online?
I'm not too sure, but I can
That's
send
your
you
weird question.
I can send you it if you want to see it.
Definitely.
I watched the first episode. The first episode is on YouTube. I watched the first. It's pure weird though.
What one? Do you
mean? Series 1, Episode 1.
Do you mean Des doesn't do? What one are you talking about?
No, I'm talking about your TV show.
Oh, do you know me? Is that the
Totally Senseless game show?
Oh, the Totally Senseless one. I did. I'm Spasticus, which was a series.
Oh, that was hilarious. By the way, I've seen a couple of them today. I was looking through some clips. That was like, because do you know what I really admire? Right, is the comedy element of somebody being disabled and they just take it in their stride and have a laugh with it. Do you know what I mean? And some of these people just did not know what to say.
Oh man, it was
hilarious.
It was some crazy times, man. I tell you, that was a great show to work on. There's a guy. Did you see the blind guy, Tim?
I seen the one with his girlfriend had left him or something like that.
Aye, did you see the one with the big dildo? Did you see that?
Aye. They said the rang shop.
Right.
Let Martin explain what it is.
Aye, so basically, it was like a sketch show where we would go about and create scenarios surrounding disability to make people feel awkward, and it was all. But this is like obviously hidden camera stuff, like it wasn't. So then Tim was blind, and he had this beautiful house, and I can't remember where it was, but the postman would come round, man, and would get the postman to deliver it, and he's like, "Can you open it for me, please?" And we'd be in the house, man, and he'd have his dressing gown on or whatever, and next minute, man, he's like, "Can you open it and let me know what it is? Sorry, I'm blind," or whatever. And he'd open it up, man. It was just a big, massive dildo, man, like the size of fucking North America. And like,
so this was your show?
Aye, this was part of the show that we were in. Aye, and then the postman would be looking at him, going like that. He's like, "Can you tell me what it is?" And that, and he's like, and you know what I mean, like these things like that. And then there was the money for a disabled person, the one that I did, where there'd be a charity bucket. And then there was a guy called, oh God, what was his name again? Simon, who had like cerebral palsy, but he had like an electric chair, and he had slurred speech and
actually
money for a disabled person. And then somebody would put money in the bucket, and then I would give them a disabled person. So
oh my God, man!
And Simon would come out, but the problem was we nearly got ourselves into trouble, funnily enough, because when I gave Simon away to this guy, he ran, right, and Simon chased him, and like the guy nearly get knocked down by a number 7 bus in the middle of Coventry. He was that scared.
Oh no, we don't need that.
So we had fun, but writing the ideas and the sketches for that was unbelievable, man.
Oh, I can imagine. Like.
And then doing it, you know, having the boldness to.
The execution must have been pure tension-ridden, man.
Oh, what, man?
How can you keep a straight? It's more, how can you keep a straight face during something like that?
I don't know, man. I'm going to be honest. We did this thing, and all we pretended that there was a new pilot for a new singing reality show, and we go, God, and then for a new singing reality show, and we get. Do you remember the band Platinum?
No.
The group Platinum. They sang like a really crap song back in the day. But anyway, we managed to get the guys for Platinum in, and a few other like Z-list celebrities or whatever, and get them to test to judge. And it was things like Death Row, but it was DEAF Row, and it was just like we played on this video, and it was no sound, and it was just guys sign language and like a rap and that. And the camera would be watching us, watching them, watching that, and it was just like, oh my God, oh man, it was.
It's funny. It's funny to exploit like that sort of thing, because there's like. That's what I really appreciate about what you do and stuff like that, because there's a lot of people who get really nervous about speaking about disabilities and stuff like that, and they don't know how to cope with it.
That's part of the problem I know about, I think, is that you know, it's my life's work is to make people feel awkward. Like that's how I feel about it. But
brilliant.
I mean that in a good way. But people always ask me, "Do you want to be like an activist or something?" I'm like, definitely not. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't be somebody who lobbies for. But I just like to do it in other ways. If I can get a kick out of it and I can get a laugh, that's the best way to do it for me. But I couldn't be like
see all the shows and that, and the opportunities. What was Channel 4? Did you never take that at Channel 4? I feel as if
I did, because
like
I was
Jacker and what was the other TV shows that
Totally Senseless. So it was Totally Senseless Game Show, and then there was Channel 4 was I'm Spasticus was Channel 4. So Channel 4.
So Total Senseless.
That makes sense, doesn't it? Aye, makes sense.
So Total Senseless Game Show was BBC 3.
It was all celebrities, and it was.
Aye, it's like Casey Batchelor.
They've whipped it. They have whipped it. There's only one episode online, and it's a pure slow, like it's like half speed sort of thing.
Aye, that's right. They changed. I don't know why they did that. I think somebody tried to put it on YouTube, and BBC 3 messed about with it. But I'm not sure.
That's what you'll find online. That is exactly what you find online. It's pure.
I've seen that. I've heard about that. I'll send you the real one. It was really good. Like we got a good team.
It looked cool.
That was funny.
It looked cool.
And it was good.
Send us that across.
And you understand it yourself, because it's all to do with how people are perceived in the media. Do you know what I mean? In certain roles. You know what I mean? Like
you can
a floor manager, a producer, and all that. Like you've always got your kind of stereotypes about.
Aye. So. See, just kind of slightly off topic, but kind of on that. See, what's it like for you? Like, do you look for new gigs to get? Obviously, you're doing newsround and stuff like that, which is brilliant. Do you ever look for other gigs, or
always,
do you get approached, or does your management can I do that for you?
I get approached, but the thing is my work's not done with newsround yet. So I think that's the problem with media sometimes, and what we're doing is that everybody's always looking ahead to see where they're no there yet, sort of thing. Where I think for me it's been a slow build. So what once I'd finished the Paralympics, what I wanted to do was, it's getting a bit deep now, but what I wanted to do was I wanted to take an audience with me, sort of thing. So I wanted to start off with a young audience, be able to write, tell stories, have the opportunity, because BBC is amazing, like the opportunities you get within the BBC.
There's so many different paths you can take.
So many different paths, radio, TV, online, you've got 5 Live, you've got BBC Sport, you've got, do you know what I mean? It's like, you've got all that.
Podcasts, you've got everything.
You really wanted to use it, so you may as well as make it work for you, sort of thing. But so for me, what I want to do is, when I'm finished with Newsround, which won't be in too long, but when I'm finished, then that audience that's watched me, then I'll go and do something with that audience as again, so that they're always following you across to another platform. So
so you're being greedy. You're going, right, I'm going to get the youth to follow me.
Basically,
and when that youth follows me, I'm going to go into that youth follow me for 5 years. I'm going to
make it a wee bit older.
X, Y, and Z. You are a smart cookie.
Yeah, it's going to be done.
So you need to admire it. You need to admire that.
You can add 2 to your audience now.
Good mate. Keep on, get the ratings up. Get the ratings up.
I think you're getting our ratings up.
You're getting our ratings up.
Certainly, we're not.
But I'd like to do radio. I think I worked at BBC Radio 1 for a while and did all that sort of stuff. And I got
opportunity. There was a few pictures on Twitter.
Well, they asked me. The problem was this is what media can do sometimes. Just because I was working with BBC Radio 1, they were training me and they were going to make me one of the presenters, and then I got the Glastonbury gig.
We read that wee article today, didn't we, Kenny?
So I got today. But the problem was I didn't get to go to Glastonbury because Brexit happened. So
how does that disrupt
politics, mate? BBC politics is always at hand, so it's one of
the no. You need to. Can you explain, or can you know? But Rangers are winning 2-0 against Lyon, just to let everyone know.
Great news. So, of course, I'll tell you the story now. So, basically, Brexit happened that morning, on the morning that I was supposed to go to Glastonbury. And basically, my boss said to Glastonbury, he's not gone to Glastonbury now because we need him to go to London to cover Brexit.
Oh, right, so it was just that. It was just you were pulled to do a different story.
He just basically pulled rank and just went, but that's just part of it. So radio would be the next thing I think I'd like to do, and all that. So, like TV, I've done quite a lot. I've been really lucky because I get to do live TV most days, and live content and travel all over the world with Newsround. But I think when it gets to a stage where I need to leave there, then radio is the next best thing because you're still got that live element every day, talking about different stuff. Whereas I don't.
What was the most nerve-wracking sort of situation you've been in when it comes to reporting or any sort of media?
I've been in quite a few now, I think. I think there's been a few, but the one that I can remember recently was we went to the refugee camp in Cali.
Oh, aye. And something all that kicked off.
So I was in the camp. I was in the actual jungle area where things were happening, and one of the guys, we've had a few situations where these people are in like dead dire sort of living situations and whatever, and we walk up with our camera and stuff, and then, you know what I mean, we're going to get
jealous,
we get nervous.
It's nuts and bolts.
They wouldn't let us leave until we'd paid them money and stuff, so that was pretty. And then covered stories in Brazil when we were in Rio doing the Rio Paralympics, like we'd find ourselves in some pretty strange scenarios when it came to the favelas and stuff. So but I just think that's like that. That's
part and parcel.
I've never felt in any trouble at any time in my job. Really, I've never felt like my life was at risk or anything like that. Never. Especially with the BBC, I've never felt that way.
I remember when I was in Rio, me and my pal at the time, we were going out and we had the fear of obviously getting robbed and mugged.
It's legit.
We went out with like, no enough, we went out with like 50 AIs to go get a couple of beers, get a meal and get abroad. Not that we lived in fear, but just we knew we had enough to...
You were aware?
If we get mugged, we get mugged. It wasn't a big deal. We were walking on the beach one night in Rio, and all you saw was 3 bags that lifted in a family of people just chasing them. And
really?
You can't do anything, man. Like these kids are trained, man. They are not. And it's not their first time.
Nah,
so
they
just
know.
poof, disappear, man.
Yeah.
And it went to one person, and it probably went to 3 other people. So it was, if anybody caught anybody, it was all
never stopped
tied up. It's a shame. Like,
it's a weird city in it, because one side of it looks really rich and really good, and then you look at the other side and it's just pure poverty, like within.
That's exactly it, man.
Literally,
like see with the favelas, like I know last day my mate went up the favelas and he was like, it was crazy. But I went to the National Stadium. What was the name of the National Stadium, Gav?
Oh, the Maracana.
Maracana, correct. There you go. Martin's there. Where are you, Gav, man?
I didn't know anyway, mate.
Your
so
socks up.
Martin, thank you so much for rescuing me there, because I don't like fanny and didn't know it. So.
you paid like 3 reais. I went round the Maracana. It was just because I didn't have sun cream. I had no sun cream. I am a pale
that's
man.
a schoolboy error, that, isn't it?
I had no sun cream. I am an exceptionally pale man from Scotland.
Yep.
And my mate, he had all the tan skin in the world. He went up a favela and he was like, it was scary, man.
Aye, horrible,
real
man.
Scared.
Horrible. It's real.
He loved
real
it,
life
but...
stuff, man. Real life stuff. Like, not to be. You'd be daft if you were going up there thinking that it was going to be all nice and rosy and touristy. That I mean, you'd be nuts to think that. But that's been another element when you showing me. I'm really thankful they trust me enough to send me to these places, I suppose. So
100%, it's a cracking job. When you think about, do you ever sit back and think,
aye,
know how lucky you are because you've worked hard to get there? And
I do actually think how lucky I am. What I do. Everybody's got a job where day to day it can make them feel a bit crap, like political stuff in your job, and dealing with people every day can be a bit stressful. But I think every once in a while when we do stuff, or when I've been somewhere, I've just got back for Fiji actually in January.
Fiji?
Check you.
Mate, you just send
I feel like you're trying to live my life, man. I was in Hawaii, like many years ago.
Brilliant. See, we're never too far apart.
No, but I paid to go there. You haven't.
You got paid to go there.
Exactly. What was Hawaii like? Was Hawaii good?
Oh, man.
You said that was your favourite place when you went travelling.
Oh my God, man. It's the most relaxed, chilled. Oh my God. I feel like my muscles couldn't have worked there because it was just so relaxed. But Fiji's probably the same, man.
Fiji's, I mean, the thing is, when I go, it probably is, mate. And I've seen some beautiful parts of it, but we're always there to cover something that's dark. You know what I mean? So we always see the crappy side of things. That's the only issue with going and working somewhere with news round, is that you never go there for a good reason. You don't go there.
Is that real? What was happening negative in Fiji? Such a tiny place, man.
Rising sea levels in the Pacific because of climate change.
Oh shit! I was on news today. Aye, there's more temperatures than ever.
Aye, because it's.
Surely all this has helped. Like COVID, nobody's moving. Everybody's static.
Well, I need to speak to the family. I need to get in touch with the families.
Have a word.
Martin, here's a question for you.
Go on.
What's the capital of Fiji?
Fiji.
Is it
Gav, Google that quickly because we don't.
I know it. I know it. Don't you worry.
No, you don't. You
Suva?
don't.
Is it Suva?
Suva. Yes, mate. You're right.
Oh,
just want to test it there.
Honestly,
there's
a chance I could have got that wrong. Honestly, I didn't really. I just went for the biggest city. That's what I did. That's what I did.
I used to work in the Marriott Hotel and they did the rugby sevens.
Oh, aye.
It was
amazing at that, yeah.
Aye. My God, see the boys from Fiji, man, they couldn't have been like. I felt like they wanted to do my job. They were the nicest guys in the world, man. The most politest, respectful, such respectful people, man.
Aye, I know, and do you know what? I agree with you because when I was there, I couldn't have met nicer people. They're accommodating. It was mad.
So
they
nice,
made me drink that. They made me drink that drink. Have you ever heard it? Cava. Ever heard it?
So Cava's a champagne. Cava's a champagne, mate.
No.
Yeah. We have tried that.
Listen, I don't know what circles you're sitting in. But, you know what I mean? We don't drink champagne. They take this root to a plant and they crush it, right? And what it does is you basically mix it with water and mud and all that, right? And then you let it ferment.
Mud?
Aye, so mud and water and that. So then you let it ferment for a wee while. But you see, when you go to a village, you know that, you've got to give the chief a root.
Oh, right. Today.
Wow,
so,
man.
See, so I had to sit and drink this stuff, man. And it's no Honestly, it just blows the heat right off you. But it's no like alcohol. It's not an alcohol. It's just this root's just mental. Like it's just
My psychedelic thing.
Did you know it's considered a depressant drug?
What, this Kava thing?
Kava. I just googled it. Aye. It's considered a depressant drug.
You did not. Gavin Hollywood. Did you just Gavin Hollywood? That's his name.
Is that actually your second name, Gavin?
That is me. Aye.
That is his surname. Aye.
Paul Hollywood.
Is that mate?
Paul Hollywood for Bake Off. Is it Paul Hollywood?
No related. No relation.
Different Hollywood.
Different Hollywood. Maybe the same string, right enough, but
yeah, you'll be doing news round in about 2 weeks.
Once Martin leaves, I'll submit my application.
Don't get Martin the sack, but Jesus,
I'm not going to get him the sack. Come on.
Mate, I'll give you my job. Take it. Gavin Hollywood, mate. I can't compete with somebody with a second name Hollywood.
I know. I feel the same.
Mate, you're on news round. You can do whatever you want.
You can't compete with somebody with the name Hollywood, man. It just doesn't.
Doesn't fathom, does it? It doesn't come to physician. That's fancy words. But what I get back to is the best celebrity you've ever worked with. Who is it?
Celebrity I've ever worked with. Best celebrity.
Yeah.
Hi, like well-known person. It could be anybody. Could be
E-list to Z-list.
Do you know what though? That's just how I find I'm quite boring that way. Right, okay, football player wise, David Beckham was one of the nicest people I'd ever met.
Wow.
Like shit, you've met Beckham?
I have, yeah. Met interviewed David Beckham.
Do expand.
Well, it was fun enough because he was doing something to do with the Sainsbury's school games or something in London. But the NBA had come to Manchester that day. Like to Raptors or something like that, didn't they? Played like an exhibition match. He's a big basketball fan, so so we basically chatted and he invited me to the basketball game.
Wow.
Aye.
But don't finish there. Keep talking about it.
But basically I didn't go. But
what?
But I didn't go. No,
you're kidding on, man.
Didn't go. My producer, the guy who was stoning with me, was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I've got to work, man. I've got to get this done." Like,
you're a fucking idiot, man.
I know.
Come on. Like, but then, it's not just that. Like the Toronto Raptors are playing there, so you probably met Drake. You probably met like.
I might have met them all.
Martin,
but also moving swiftly.
Your wheelchair would have been.
Let's move on, Martin. I'll save you here, right?
Solid gold wheelchair you'd been riding on if you just went.
Right, Kenny, shut up.
Just tell him. He needs to know this stuff.
I need to know. I'm glad that you reminded me of how much of a fucking idiot I was. But
right, on you go.
Right, Martin.
So the best celebrity that I've met is Commander Chris Hadfield, though. The astronaut. Remember the astronaut that became famous for singing on YouTube for the ISS? He sang David Bowie on the International Space Station and ended up getting loads of hits on.
What's his name? Commander what?
Oh, no, I feel that I feel like I can get him. Stop coming back to me now.
I sat down with this guy, right, and remember he's a fucking astronaut, right? Only 1 in 10 million people can
become an astronaut.
And like he told me how you poo in space and all that, because in reality, I asked him all sorts of interesting questions, but what animal would you take into space for you and all that, and he told me, and honestly that was the most interesting, best celebrity
That's brilliant. That's unusual, because you normally expect somebody to say David Beckham or fucking Rihanna or something, do you know what I mean?
This guy, man,
Gavin,
you can sit with this guy all day, honestly.
He did say David Beckham.
Did he say that was his favourite person? That's what I'm talking about.
No, my favourite interview was Chris Hadfield. He was my number one.
Brilliant. Right, here's an even better question for you, Martin. So this is the question that
this better be a good question, Gavin.
Yes.
Fucking should be.
I thought you were going to fill name me there.
Gavin, if this question's shite, that's it, man. I'm out.
Right, so this is the emerged question, Martin. Right, so if you could have one drink and one drink only, what would you have and who would it be with?
Oh, very good. Very good.
Thank you.
I pulled it in the bag.
If I could have one drink, what would it be and who would it be with? Man. Whew.
Put you on the spot here.
Oh, I'm feeling it.
Do you want me and Kenny to talk shite now until you decide?
No, talk shite. Anyway,
I've literally run out of cans. I've got cans surrounding me. I don't know how I'm going to get these down the stair. Like, it's disgusting.
Do you know what, man? I know what drink I would.
Hey, what drink are you having?
I'd have a whiskey, I think, but I think that a
Kind of whiskey though. What kind of whiskey you need?
I'm not really a big top of the shelf whiskey man, right? But I'm not a Bell's whiskey either, a Glen or like that. Middle of the road, a Glenmorangie. I'd have a Glenmorangie with 2 blocks of ice in it, right?
Oh, my pops would love you for that. You don't want to have mix in it. You just want something to...
Some people stick their nose up at people putting ice in it, don't they?
But they're just fucking idiots.
I was going to say that they're called fannies.
Who would I want to say? I'd say Dead or Alive.
Any?
Whatever you want. You choose. It's your question.
I'd say Muhammad Ali. I'd have a whiskey with Muhammad Ali.
Wow.
By the way, see, just on Muhammad Ali, did you see that video that resurfaced the other day? He was talking about, he was on a chat show.
He was talking about being a black man.
Aye, oh my God, how powerful was that?
I shared that on my Facebook a couple of weeks ago, actually. I thought it was really cool.
Unbelievable.
So he'd be my number one go-to, and I'd have a whiskey with Muhammad Ali.
Tremendous.
So, are you really big on the whole Black Lives Matter and you're all that?
I'm about as big as what I can be.
You're neutral. Like every life should matter. I
think that's such a weird time. And I think that
it's a weird thing to ask you there. I mean, that's my bad, but I just feel
no. See what you said.
I just feel that somebody else speak.
What I think is that it's right. That's my opinion. Is like it's
correct.
No. The way you've got it depends on perspective, doesn't it? Like of course, Black Lives Matter, and when people say, "But British lives matter, white lives matter," and it's like, but that's not what it's.
That's not the point.
No,
that's like somebody saying, "Oh, breast cancer matters more than somebody."
I know.
No,
you're right, and it's supposed to show unity and together.
Of course.
And yet you get people. Another one of these social media things again, where people just pipe up with the biggest load of rubbish, man, that I've ever
I've wanted to say this for a while, but I've just no felt like saying it. But I feel that I'm getting
I know. The best ones that I get is like, I'm no racist, but like, see when you start.
See when that's your sentence. Shut up.
See if you start a sentence like that, I'm just going to right. I'll tell you the funniest moment for me, because none of it's funny, but I'll tell you the most ironic moment that I found with the Black Lives Matter stuff.
This is weird because see regards to like whole.
Let him finish. Wait a minute. I want to hear this.
No, but I'd like to hear. So every life matters, blah blah. But
aye.
Disabled lives in ill
people's life matters. Everybody's life matter. It's just because
what's your worst moment with regards to that?
What disabled lives matter, as in disability lives.
Labelled or challenged lives.
See, for me, I've never really been labelled as. I'm being serious with this. This is what I was saying to you earlier, Gavin, about being an advocate or being somebody who is championing disabled people. I've never been labelled like that ever, and I know people do, and I'm really lucky that I haven't experienced it. But at the same time, the reason why I don't think I have is because I've got the view that things are there for a reason. Where whatever stereotype or whatever thoughts people have got about other people in certain situations, whether it's your disability, your colour, your race, whatever your religion is, it's there for a reason. So when it comes to disability, I think disabled people are just as much to blame about whatever stereotypes come our way, as opposed to I don't appreciate it when disabled people think that the world's against them. And don't get me wrong, I can only speak for people that have got my disability. I can't talk to people with autism. I can only talk to people who are in my situation. In order to affect change and implement change, you first of all have to look at yourself and ask these questions: why do people think this way about you? Why do people treat you this way? Is it because of them? Probably. But then also there's a certain element to yourself that you've got to take away and you've got to look at, because in order for things to change, you can't expect people who don't understand to make those changes. You've got to make it first. So
shit, man, that was crazy powerful, and how good was that? That was amazing. You saw the smile on your face there, knowing how good that statement was. That was amazing,
I've just been waiting for my moment to say that.
I was
at the day.
He's got the cue cards and all that ready.
Where's Jean? Jeannie's there.
It was Jean that said it to me. She went, "You're talking about disabled people shit," and I was like, "Actually, Jean, this isn't true. I'll tell you what the problem is."
I know.
It's like,
Jean,
I would never. Always told me my whole life you're the problem. Right, that's what Gene's up. So
He's so.
this is how this kind of manifests itself.
No, but that was a weird. Like, I don't even know if that was 2 minutes, but it was a moment where like time stood still and you were just talking, and it was everything you said just pure made sense, and
so that
was crazy cool, man. That was amazing.
Thank you, but that's what happens with the whole. But I was going back to that ironic thing that I was talking about with the Black Lives Matter. Was the bit with the statue. Do you remember they were protecting Churchill's statue, and then all these football fans came, the skinheads came. Remember? And then they were all doing it. And the number one picture, so British Lives Matter, and then they all did the Nazi salute. But then they were protecting the statue of the guy who defeated the Nazis. So in order to show their cause and to say we are, they did a Nazi salute to a statue of the man who fought.
Some people just love to jump on
education, man. It's just all about education. Like we had like Grevin, the boy we had on Grevin, man.
Grevin Harris, tremendous.
The way he went about racism, and that was just a different level. Like, he was so humble, he was so crazy, and no crazy. He wasn't crazy at all.
Crazy in that sort of sense that you can't believe.
You couldn't believe how he approached the situation. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. Martin, just to give an example for that episode, right? That was earlier on, and it was right in the middle of the Black Lives Matter movement and stuff like that, and everything was going on with George Floyd, and so Grevin came on, and he halfway through the podcast, he went on to explain about how he perceives racism, what started it, and what continues it, and stuff like that. And he came up with this, this saying. He calls it the 3 Ps, right?
Right.
And he said, what was it again? Parenting, publishing, and politics. So he says, if you think about racism or any sort of discrimination about anything, it comes down to these 3 things, and it's not necessarily what people think. It's how they're brought up and how they're just made to feel that they need to feel that way. Do you know what I mean? It was amazing.
The thing is, what we do when we're really young is we put ourselves into a category or a box, or my people. These are my clan. This is what I believe. You go with a belief that you've been taught, or an idealistic view of the world as to what you want to live in. Yeah. So that's formed and built in it for when you're young. So I totally agree with what Devin. I'm pretty sure whatever he says, it was pretty powerful anyway, because he's right. Like, quite a good simple way of getting the point across. Like, definitely.
100%. It was amazing. But Kenny,
sorry mate, tremendous. I'm just trying to make everybody can see how handsome.
How's the back cave gone there? You doing all right?
It's
Alfred just going behind you.
Every time it gets to about 9 o'clock, Kenny's get the fucking phone out.
I work with the sunrise and the sunset, so if you want to be fancy with your lumens that you have got, takes those.
He works best in the shadows, doesn't he? That's what he's trying to say.
I think I work best in the daylight. No, it's fun to make fun of me, yeah. That's what you do, aye. Look at that hair. Look at the sweat you're wiping through your head, man.
To be honest, we we've all had a good swipe at each other tonight, man. To be fair, it's been
to be fair, I think it's been mostly me with my fucking night.
Put the violin away, Gavin. God's sake, man. Jeez.
Oh my God, man. It's all about you, Gavin.
Because you're that small, Gavin, the violins feel really big.
Aye. I look forward to seeing an absolute sterling comedy show for you. Yeah. That's what I thought. No, you're Gavin, Martin. But
I didn't get confused there, mate. You don't need to explain it.
I just want to make sure that everybody knows where they stand when it comes to
I know where I sit. I don't stand that much, but
I've done that again, haven't I? I've done it twice.
Honestly, you walked into that one, you lucky bastard.
You did. Aye. But hey, no, listen, Martin, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on, mate. And can I just say, I've got 2 people very close to me as well that suffer. They've got disabilities as well, and it's really good to see somebody who's like really positive about it and who just takes the funny side of it. Do you know what I mean? And just doesn't take it too seriously. And so, thanks, mate. It's really.
Same with me. I've got a mate who has daughter as well, but it's not so much you're on with the funny side. You've embraced what you've got, and you've turned it into something very positive, and you've turned it very much not so much into a career, but your ability to take what you've had and you've turned it into something that's got you with a snapback on in the middle of a party, which has been very well. Good on you.
Well, listen, man, I feel like I've earned the right to have a snapback on.
You have, mate. You have.
Aye, you very much have, mate. And
listen,
I can't
guys,
thank you enough.
I really appreciate you having me on, and if I can help you at any time in the future, just let me know. And
mate, it's very much an open door for you, my man.
Thank you, and let me know.
Oh my God.
Let me know when everything's going to go up. If whatever you need me to share and stuff, then
perfect.
All right.
Brilliant, right, guys. Brilliant.
Take care, man.
See you later
Take care
on.
yourselves. All right. Bye.